Hello and welcome to Maximum Power Up. I'm Paul. Today I just want to do a bit of a recent pickups video with some of the things that I've had added to my collection over the last couple of weeks. Before I get onto all that, again, massive thanks to newest member Aaron, who himself put up a video recently showing a few of his recent gaming buys. So it's great to see, obviously, the games he's been, playing as well and buying, and again, making the videos that I've done, look a little bit nicer and everything. So it's definitely good to see that, because I've definitely not got those sort of skills myself. But yeah, anyway, obviously this is a massive day for me. I'm recording this on September 29th. I'll just start with a bit of Super Nintendo news. Today I managed to get the, after obviously pre-ordering it, the SNES Mini. It's already plugged in downstairs, playing in the front room, so I'm going to finally get cracking on Earthbound, because it's a game I've not actually played, despite having ROMs of it, and owning, just quickly grab this, Mother 2, which is part of like Super Play Top 100, as Earthbound. I just thought it's now time to obviously play it on some, Nintendo hardware, and I've had a quick flick through, quite impressed, really nice looking bit of kit. I'm sure everyone by now, we've already discussed this till cows come home, and quite a few different, podcasts have as well, and videos and things, with some of the games that are on there. So that and Mario RPG are two that I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into. But as well as that, I've actually got the latest Uncharted game, which I got off a friend of the show and friend Alan White, who did me a deal on that. So it's just sort of juggling time to play the games, and need to get stuck into some research for an upcoming podcast episode as well. Just while on that, thank you for anyone who's downloaded the sports episode that me and Phil did. Good laugh doing that, because as I said, not really the type of genre that I'd, go for straight away. But I think when you put your mind to it, there's quite a lot of good sports games out there, Nowadays, it just seems to all be, FIFA, Pro Evo, it's like very safe choices. But back then, when you have a look at 80s, 90s, and even the early, noughties, you got some decent selections there of different sports and things, so it was good to cover some of those. But yeah, that's all I'm really going to say on that. A few things I've got probably just spotted now. Managed to get again the Will Overton design. This was off Redbubble from Super Play issue 26. T-shirt, absolutely loving this, and also got, just in case I never mentioned the magazine enough, one with a Super Play logo as well. So quite a few of Will's designs are on there, so a bit of a plug there for everything, because I think the artist gets some percentage of any of the t-shirts sold. So I really like this, so yeah, probably end up wearing it some of the time over the weekend of Play Manchester, which is coming up in 2 weeks, that's all. So yeah, so a few things sort out, we'll be there. I'm working on a few bits to help promote the show and things, but anyway, sorry, I know I'm jumping around a lot. So basically, before I mention Super Play Top 100, thank you to Garen from RGDS. He gave me this Secret Evermore. This was the last game I needed. Now, as said previously on other shows, there's a couple of games which I got on Super Famicom, which obviously still marked off the list, Mother 2 being one of them, but now I can actually play it in English as well. So he sent me a nice little note as well, just like well done and everything like that. I think anyone who's listened to the podcast or met me and started talking about games, how much I go on about this so much. I think if at £1 for every time it got mentioned, well, it would almost be a full-time job. Or it'd be pay you the same as a full-time job. So yeah, that's it. Superplay Top 100 has been completed, all 100 games. We'll be doing a more in-depth video looking at that, because it's only just happened. I want to plan something quite special with Aaron, and obviously get Phil's input as well, because it's been a massive deal to me. It's taken, God, it must have been about 2.5 years. I mean, in this magazine, I've just saw a note where, so I can't remember who had a conversation with. It may have been like a friend of ours, Martin, on Twitter, and he said, well, what games do you own at the time? And I found in this issue 100, because you're not really going to be able to read that too much, but there was 29 out of 100 that I owned. I think it was before we started Maximum Power Up. So, there was a long way to go there, really. 70 odd games. So I must have started it in about, probably about 2014, something like that. So it has taken me, a good 2.5, maybe even 3 years, because some of the games I already just had in my collection, because, I wanted to own them, or I got them for a really good price. So when you started looking at it, going, well, maybe it's possible to, do the whole 100. Some of them have been quite hard to find, for a decent price as well, because obviously, like I've said on here, having a baby at start of the year, circumstances change and everything. So it's been quite an adventure. I mean, last November, so we're talking just under a year ago, I think I still need about 10, but recently I've had some amazing help from Matt Lamborn, Garen has mentioned, Will Overton himself, and a few others. And Lee at Southam Games, my mate Greg from over at Years, like a few years ago when he did me quite a good deal on some, but I'll be going into more detail like that when I start going through the actual games, probably on the next video that I do. So probably get to the proper shout outs then. Anyway, I'm gonna do something full for that, really, more about the I don't want to say the journey, of collecting this top 100, and a rough idea of the pricing, because even that's changed a lot, in that time. When I have a look on things like the Facebook memories, I share other gaming posts, and you're like, oh, Super Nintendo games just been put into local game shop, and you're thinking, God, that's amazing, that was like 20 quid 2 years ago, and now you're looking at it and it's say 35, 40 quid. So you think if there's a few titles like that, it really just start adding up. Anyway, just have a very quick look. Another thing that I did pick up, where is it? Just put it away on the shelf. I should have left it out. Here we go. I picked up, so not very professional, should have had this already pulled out. Not tried it yet because I only got it this morning at $1.95. Choo Choo Rocket on the Dreamcast. Now, this is one of those games that I always see at games events, and they're really cheap, because everywhere you go it's either 3 or 4 quid. But every time I see it, I think, I'll come back for it later. This morning though, in local game shop, Games and More over in Wigan, I thought, okay, 2 quid, can't go wrong. As with most Dreamcast games, the hinges are quite knackered. Well, one of them is anyway. And it's got the Stream Key disc and what else? Hopefully the game. I've not even opened it. Yeah, and obviously the manual as well. So it's in all right condition, like the actual case, all the teeth are intact and everything, keeping the disc in. Now, I've never played this game, but I'm pretty sure Tom from Dreamcast Junkyard loves it, and I know how Phil does. It's been really recommended. It's like one of those cheap games where you probably think, oh God, you see it everywhere, we've touched upon it, like, with things like the Mega Drive, where you see things like the EA Doubleheader, see it everywhere, cheap as anything, but, bloody good games. So I do want to obviously try that out. Other than that, picked up, this was 99p and £3.95 postage, no, or £4 postage, something like that. And I got a few games magazines. So there was an old CVG magazine. This is from February 1992, looking at the Terminator games, Terminator 2, but also Terminator on the Mega Drive, which is really, really difficult because of just a serious lack of weapons. Well, that's what I discovered on level 1. Never saw level 2. Not really that surprising. And like, with CVG at the time, it's sort of still quite big on things like the Amiga, and the ST was starting to really fade away by then. But it still had, like, a lot of console stuff. So you're still seeing things that you see in the Amiga mags, like your Silica mail order and things like that. Like, I love looking at all these, this. I remember my mate getting the Cartoon Classics pack, with Captain Planet and Simpsons and things. So that was like one magazine that came with it. Sadly, it didn't have that issue of Go with it for some reason, but it did have this one. So Go obviously was the free handheld magazine that came with CVG. I'm pretty sure it did about 30 issues. It had a decent run, and obviously covering Game Boy, Game Gear, Lynx, and the PC Engine GT, so I've never ever played. But it wasn't bad because, a lot of the same writers from the main magazine get involved with this as well. So you got things like, let's have a quick look, Turtles 2 on the Game Boy. So again, giving that a quick rating. And yeah, it was all right because there weren't that many handheld magazines. Obviously, the console magazines covered the handheld games, but you didn't really get anything just for that. However, about to contradict myself a little bit, what you did have though was Game Boy Action, or GB Action. Now, these, I've already done a video on issue 1, have a quick look, so I've got another couple of issues of this. Now, GB Action, I think, lasted for about 40 odd issues, so it did about 4 years, which wasn't too bad because it started featuring things like the Game Boy Color. I seem to remember. I'd given up by then anyway. In fact, I gave up on GB Action quite early, probably the time it got to, like, issue 12 or 13. I do remember buying these for the first time, and I love rebuying magazines that I used to own. Even though, like, I got rid of so many back in the late 90s, I find it really interesting. I've said before that looking back, it's that nostalgia of flicking through them, seeing all the old mail order adverts, something that me and Matt Lamborn have talked about, with Console Concepts, and just it's sort of like seeing going, God, this game's like really cheap compared to what it sells for now, but it's also just seeing what people are thinking of the games back then, because some obviously, like, nowadays are seen as rose-tinted glasses where you go, oh, that was absolutely brilliant, and you read about the problems with it and you're thinking, maybe it's just me then, and if you play it nowadays, no, it really is awful. But I think with GB Action, it was one of those done by Europress. I've said it on the podcast before, Europress, when they went out of business, I'm not surprised really, putting out loads of 99p magazines, because even when GB Action came out, it was still on about 150, 160, something like that. And then same with things like Super Action, Mega Action, everything like that. The whole range of these magazines, 68-page magazines, are quite thin. Putting them out at £1. Great when you were a kid for pocket money, I seem to remember when I was at school, they wanted to get more people in the library after school. So what we started doing was, right, we're going to bring in some games magazines as well. So they go out and they buy GB Action, Mega Action, the 99p ones, rather than your Super Plays and things like that, and your Amiga format and whatnot. So I don't know, it still got me there to have a quick flick through. Although I'd probably end up buying them myself anyway. But yeah, GB Action, not that bad a magazine. It changed its design within a few issues. As soon as it went to 99p. I'll just see if I can just quickly find, because it used to be more designed like that, and then when you get to that Mario cover, that's when it went down to 99p, changed its style and everything like that. One of the things though that I still absolutely love, I've said it before, are things like the classified ads pages, asking for all sorts of different games, consoles, and it's just interesting to see what people swap for things. Lastly, the last magazine that I picked up recently, this cost me £4 with postage. We have got Mega, done by Future Publishing. It was eventually sold by Future Publishing, then it did disappear. Mega has been described in the past as sort of Sega equivalent to Superplay. Now, it had some really, really good writers. It had Neil West as the editor, and then it went on to Andy Dyer, Ex-Total, and Commodore Format, being the editor there. So around this time, in most magazines, you had some really, really great writing talent. So I've had a flick through Mega. I'm not going to really do a full-on feature on this, but one thing that I do remember, because I have friends with Mega Drives, was, the cover story is cheap as chips, half-price games, so it's no more £40 games. We've got this £20 range. And the £20 range, some of them are quite good. Some of them are absolutely awful. And what it does is, I know I could do a full feature on this magazine, but it's just making a point really on this, because when you've got the budget range, because it took quite a while for the Super Nintendo to have a proper budget range. I know you could go into Future Zone back then and find a few bargains and stuff, and then eventually you got the Nintendo Classics. Let's have a quick look. Is this one of them? Yeah, when Nintendo bought out this range on Super Nintendo, that still took a while, so you could shop around and get a few bargains, but for Sega to actually go, right, this is it. The Mega Drive's been out for around 4 years by the time this magazine came out. It had quite a big back catalogue of some decent titles. So what Mega have done here, they did like a mini review for each title, because obviously they've already done the proper reviews for some games, and some games, we've seen this is only issue 9, came out before. So the rating each one, graphics, sound, gameplay, and then an overall rating. So something like Wrestle War, something that has been discussed on the podcast and also with friends, got 38%. World Cup Italia, 40%, one of those cheap, always been cheaper Mega Drive games. So what they did is they've come up with this bit. Now, I don't know if that's going to be too readable there, but I'll just read a couple out. They put all 40 games into order of best to worst. So they're saying like Golden Axe 2, 92%. Not a bad game. I never really got on with Golden Axe 3 though. And Revenge of Shinobi at 91%. Fantastic game. And same with Toe Jam and Earl. Toe Jam and Earl, if you want to buy that now, it's probably about 25 quid last time I looked. You might be able to get lucky, but that seems to be one of those games which are, you really got to get this if you have a Mega Drive. It's a fantastic game. And then you've got things like Super Hang-On, Spider-Man, Strider, and then there's just like this massive drop off to mid-70s with things like Toki at 69%, Ghostbusters low 60s, and Outrun 50 odd. So quite well-known licenses, but obviously not great games with some of these. And the worst one was Art Alive, 19%, something I've never ever owned, but I'm sure you can pick that up really cheap if you wanted to. But yeah, that's all from me, really. Just like I say, just a very quick look at just a few things. So as said, we'll be looking at doing a proper video, you know, a proper shout outs, going through full experience of collecting this Superplay Top 100. And yeah, that's everything. Check out the show. Again, if you can, leave us a review. We knocking about some ideas and stuff. There's quite a few consoles I want to discuss at the first time as well, you know, because there's only so many times I can discuss Super Nintendo. Yep, that is true, amazingly. And yeah, okay. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.